Hello there everyone, welcome to another video on the channel and welcome to a video where we're going to take a little bit of a look at what the upcoming update in December for Gran Turismo 7 named Spec III might mean for the game from a sport mode perspective. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the update in general in terms of what we know. In terms of the content, we know we're getting two brand new real world tracks. We're going to get Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi and we're going to get the Gilles Villeneuve street circuit from Montreal in Canada, and we know there's going to be 8 cars coming with that update, 4 of which have been revealed, and probably the most exciting of them from a sport mode perspective is going to be the Ferrari 296 GT3, which will please a lot of people, no doubt, who are looking for a more current up-to-date GT3 car in the game. We know we've got the FTO coming. We know we have probably what's going to be called the F3000B with the shark nose configuration from the kind of Benettons of like 1992 to 1994, and we're going to get a Skyline as well. The other 4 cars have not been revealed at the time of this video being put together, and probably maybe the most other interesting thing that we know is definitely coming is going to be a kind of data logger telemetry. We don't know exactly what the details of that are going to bring, but yeah, definitely should be an interesting addition to the game. If we then go on to the website, you can see we have a list of promised features for Gran Turismo 7's Spec III update, and right at the bottom there is definitely something that has caught quite a lot of people's attention, particularly if you primarily play Gran Turismo 7 for sport mode. Right at the bottom there, improvements to online races, and this has obviously caused a bit of speculation amongst the community as to what that could possibly mean. So in this video we are going to take a look at what that could possibly mean. So probably the first thing that most people kind of go to when they think about what that might mean in terms of an update to online races is an additional daily race, or indeed maybe more than one additional daily races. A daily race D, a daily race E if you like. Now this is something that a lot of people have been crying out for a long time, an additional daily race, a daily race D that's maybe a bit more simulation orientated, a little bit longer, a little bit more strategy, a little bit more use of the dynamic weather, etc. within the game. However, it has never came to fruition, and sport mode has very much followed the same lines as it was back in GT Sport with just the daily race A, B and C. And in terms of how those races kind of characterise themselves, it is very rarely kind of changed, with, you know, daily race A being a kind of road car about 8 to 10 minutes, daily race B being, you know, 8 to 10 minutes, usually group 3, group 4, daily race C 20 minutes, etc. They have kind of tried a longer daily race with daily race C, but in a previous video we looked at, we kind of looked at the reasons as to why we maybe no longer get those longer races. So an extra daily race would definitely be very welcome. I would say it doesn't really require an update for this to happen. We know they can run more than 3 daily races at the same time when they've got GTWS nations and manufacturers on the go. However, maybe there's been some kind of restructuring of the servers to make this a little bit more possible. Either way, I think there's a good chance this happening. I'm going to give an 8 out of 10 in terms of chance of happening for Spec III. Next up, we're going to talk about my personal biggest bugbear about sport mode and Gran Turismo 7, and that is the Slipstream. Gran Turismo, or PD, now use what is called custom Slipstream. This was introduced about 2 years ago due to complaints about the dirty air when we use real Slipstream, and for me it actually creates even bigger problems, and for me it takes away the fun from the game. I just can't play the game while this custom Slipstream is still within it. It's just far too strong. The advantage it gives to the car behind is ridiculous. A driver that is 6-7 tenths, maybe even a second slower depending on the track, can just easily stay with a car or a driver that is much faster than them, and it exacerbates some of the other problems regarding the way the online races work that we'll take a little bit of a look at as this video goes on. Now they could easily fix this problem by using real Slipstream, but that would then bring along the complaints of the dirty air, which is, to be fair, an issue above Group 3. So hopefully Spec 3 does bring some kind of improvement to the way the Slipstream works. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 because I'm not entirely sure PD see this as an issue. Next up, we're going to talk about another issue of the online races that people have a bit of a problem with, and that is the contact physics, which a lot of people refer to as the ping pong physics, which can see cars when they make contact with each other kind of be bounced off in an unrealistic fashion. Now, this isn't something that particularly bothers me because I generally tend to try and not make contact with other cars, but the footage you're looking at here is from the single player game, and I'm not going to say that's like realistic, but it's certainly better than what usually happens. I actually think it looks quite natural the way the cars have reacted there as they've made contact with each other. So if there was maybe some way possible that PD could bring the contact physics between the cars that happens in the single player game or with the Sophie AI into the online races, it would certainly be to the benefit of everyone, and it would also have the knock-on effect of making bump drafting much less effective and indeed more realistic. Now, I think bump drafting is always going to be a little bit of a feature in Gran Turismo 7 because of the strength of the slipstream, particularly the custom slipstream, but even if we went back to real slipstream, bump drafting would still be a thing on things like Daytona. I'm going to give this one a chance of happening, just 3 out of 10. I suspect the way the contact physics works between the cars is baked into the netcode. It'd be pretty late in the day to change something like that, but maybe it's something they're working on for the next game, and so could actually be tested within Gran Turismo 7. Next up, we're going to look at a few things in conjunction here, and will Spec III bring an update that allows us to run more than 16 cars on track? It is a little bit of a low number. It's definitely something that people complain about in the game, and I generally have to agree with them. It doesn't bother me too much. At the end of the day, you're usually only racing the 3 or 4 cars in front of you, but yeah, bigger grids would definitely be nice to have. And could that then maybe bring an element of multi-class racing? I think we're maybe stretching it a little bit there with that. Possibly some kind of Sophie implementation into daily races as well to sort of maybe bring the numbers up. Again, I think we're maybe stretching that one a little bit too far, but I do think there is a chance of them bringing more cars on to track. I think maybe Sony are always trying to optimise and provide more resources in terms of GPU, CPU and memory to the developers. So there is a possibility that there's been some kind of update to the PlayStation 5 and more kind of allocations on the system resources have been given to developers, and maybe PD could use that to then run more cars on track. We used to have 20 cars on track in GT Sport, early days of GT7 as well, and I have seen footage where 38 cars have been running on the track at the same time, albeit on a hacked PS4. So I do think there is a reasonable chance that we'll get more cars on track in terms of, I'll give that an 8 out of 10, but the implementation of Sophie into daily races or any kind of multi-class racing, I think that's pie in the sky. We'll give that a 1 out of 10 chance of happening, although I would very much love to see all the things I'm looking at here be brought into the game. So next up, we're going to talk about GTWS, or the Gran Turismo World Series. I think there's a pretty good chance that the Spec III update will bring with it a new season of Gran Turismo World Series, and it may well take on a very different format. I do think they've been kind of scaling down the way that the current Nations and Manufacturer Cups have been working. You can certainly see a scaling down of the way the live events work as well. So maybe with new partners like Dunlop and a new Spec III update, we could see some kind of evolutionary change to the way GTWS works. Now, I not really got any great ideas as to how that will work or what it could be. There's certainly more creative people than me out there, but I think this one's got a good chance of happening. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It would certainly be welcome, that's for sure. And yes, we are going to go there. We are going to talk about the penalty system. Could we see an update to the penalty system in Gran Turismo 7 with Spec III, and maybe even the return of the SR up and down arrows as well? Now, in this little bit of footage here, you're going to see, you're not going to get the full context of what happens, but you're going to see me doing a dirty thing, and I'm going to pick up a well-deserved 5-second penalty for my terrible behaviour. But yes, the penalty system, certainly, probably, I would say, the biggest complaint from most players is the way the penalty system works. They certainly just can't handle the inconsistencies of it. They don't think that certain things get punished when they should, and obviously you occasionally pick up the odd undeserved penalty. Now, I've been playing Gran Turismo Sport Mode from GT Sport into GT7. I've seen many iterations of the penalty system. Some were incredibly harsh, some have been incredibly lenient. Currently, it's a little bit nowhere at the moment. People generally just couldn't handle it when it was particularly strict, to be perfectly honest with you. You have a lot of people just don't. Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but yes, I think the penalty system at times has actually been very good. However, when I thought it was very good, I've seen a lot of people complaining about getting penalties they thought they didn't deserve, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes I look at the footage and I go, you did deserve that penalty. So they're never going to please everybody with this current penalty system, so I suspect that they may well change things completely. We could see a completely different way of handling penalties in Gran Turismo 7. No other game really does it in the way that GT7 does it, where you kind of get given a penalty on track for your track cuts or indeed your kind of contact with other drivers. Most other games deal with it with a kind of allocation of naughty points, and I do wonder if maybe we could see Gran Turismo 7 go to a similar system like that. I'd also like to see a return of the SR up and down arrows. If you don't know what they are, you basically got an orange arrow if you made contact with another car. It's like a shared contact system, which would lose you SR, so both drivers would be responsible whether it was your fault or not, and when you got to the end of a sector, the orange arrow would pop up to say you've lost SR in that sector. If you had a clean sector where you made no contact, no track cuts, you would get a green arrow at the end of each sector, which told you you were gaining SR. And then back when we had maintaining your sportsmanship rating was actually considerably more difficult than it was now. If you lost 10-11 points on your SR, it could take you 2, 3, 4 races to get that back up, and you had to be incredibly careful. You couldn't just start from the back. You had to basically maybe even sacrifice some driver rating in order to get that sportsmanship rating back up. So I'd love to see a return to that. Just make things a lot more difficult and strict, and deal with sportsmanship rating. Make sportsmanship rating something to be, kind of protected, because at the moment now it's so easy to get your SR back up. If you just decide to be an idiot in a couple of races, you can get it back up to 99 or maximum within a couple of races. So yeah, I think this one's got a 9 out of 10 chance of happening. I think this might be the big thing that they're going to add in to improve online races in Gran Turismo 7, but we shall see. Next up, I want to talk about improvement to custom lobbies. So custom lobbies took a hit between Gran Turismo Sport and Gran Turismo 7. Now, it's not bad, to be fair. There is a lot of options in there to cater the race to the way you want it to, but there is definitely still a few things that are missing. So, and we know this is a lot of things that they can do within setting up daily races in regards to maybe how the weather works, and things like mandatory pit stops, starting fuel levels, starting tyre temperature levels as well. So there's definitely improvements they could bring to the custom lobbies. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. I'm sitting on the fence in that one. I have no idea whether it will happen or not, but it seems like a fairly easy thing to bring in, which would indeed improve online racing. So there you have it, folks. That's my kind of list of things that possibly could be introduced into Gran Turismo 7's online racing to improve things when Spec 3 comes along in December. Now, in honest and truthful honesty, most of the things we have looked at here certainly don't require a major update to be introduced. However, maybe PD have been listening to us. Maybe they actually are aware of the complaints about the penalty system, the contact physics, the SR system, the lack of daily races, the custom Slipstream. Maybe they have been listening to all that and have been working in the background to improve all these things, make all these things better for us loyal players that have been playing for a long time, and they're going to bring it all in one giant package in Spec 3. Now, maybe I am being overly optimistic there. I'm maybe even saying this with a little bit of sarcasm in my voice you may well be able to detect. But let's be honest, if we just get a couple of these things in there, it'll certainly make things a little bit better. Overall though, the update is just on the content alone, the update is going to be well received, and yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. December can't come quick enough. I want to see what this improvement to the online race is going to be. I would just take a much better slipstream than what we have now. I can kind of deal with the rest of it. I can deal with the penalty system being the way it is. I can deal with the ping pong physics. I can deal with pretty much anything in the game. I just can't deal with that custom slipstream. So that's what I'm hinging all my hopes on. Hopefully everything we've looked at here comes in. Hopefully we'll maybe even get some surprises as well. But let me know what you think in the comments. What are your big hopes for improvements to online races? This has been Womble Leader. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.